playoffs, and he didn't even start in the playoffs.
Was McAvoy? How do you say it? McAvoy?
I like the name. I like McAvoy.
Yeah,
I like that better.
McElroy.
I think. Yeah.
Charlie. What the hell's his name? Charlie.
I like Charlie. I like what you said. That's his new name.
Was he hurt?
He was overworked.
He was overworked.
Same as Pasternak. Oh, just overused.
Guys.
Because there's no other reason why. The Celtics are the balls.
Tatum trying to get free. Throwing in the corner. Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Bang! Jaylen Brown knocks down the three to tie the game.
The thing that can hurt you is a three. You see a lot of guys guarding inside the three. Why? Because then you're a little bit late to close.
And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We clapping last night or what?
We're nervous after last night.
Why don't you?
Yeah, I agree. They what were they tied at halftime and?
Oh, we're gonna
Indiana kind of.
We're gonna break this down ad nauseum today. This is you know.
It was.
Why don't you tell the people who we are?
Well, Dave was pretty quick with his Celtics take. I kind of like that.
Look at the shirt.
He's a little aggressive.
I went with Celtics.
Yeah.
Tonight,
For the people listening and can't hear it, he's wearing a Celtic shirt, which in the year plus that he's done this show with us has never done.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaylen Brown too, right? He hits the three to tie it.
Yeah.
All right.
And now that his team is gone, I guess you're a Celtics fan, right?
I guess
Nothing
I
else
have
to watch
to be at this point, right?
All right, welcome to the Probably Wrong podcast. Tony, Mike, Dave, we're ready. We're ready to go, right? After last night, all fired up?
Yeah. Well, I'm fired up about a little something else I did the other night.
Okay.
So, everyone who knows me and the people who don't know me, I love cheeseburgers. I think we all love cheeseburgers.
Oh, what's better than a good burger? Not much.
Yeah, I had probably top 5 cheeseburger I ever had the other day at a restaurant that's right up the street from me called the Meadowbrook.
The Meadowbrook.
Now, a lot of people have told me about this in past, like they have good burgers and this and that, but it's one of those things like when the wife and I were like, hey, let's go out to dinner, I just never think of it.
Is it a dive? Never heard of it.
No. Very nice restaurant.
Okay.
So the mother the other night, we went out to dinner, me and her, she's like, I'm hungry, let's just go right up the street to Meadowbrook. So when you go to a restaurant and you look at that menu and then you open it up, and there's 20 signature burgers on there, you know you're in the right place.
Ooh.
20, and then to build your own, right? And then to build your own had so many different...
I mean, for Mike to put it in his top 5, that's...
This guy eats a lot of burgers.
He does.
Burgers. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, did you hit mute up there on the... Thank you, Tony.
I didn't hit mute up there. I don't know what that is. Right.
Sorry, guys. We got a... So... I looked on the menu and I saw a grilled cheese burger. It's a double grilled cheese burger.
All right.
A lot of places have claimed like the double grilled cheese burger, and then you get it, and it's just just 2 grilled pieces of bread on a burger.
Yep.
This thing came out and it was 2 grilled cheese sandwiches with the burger in the middle. Now it wasn't like you're thinking like the grilled cheese greasy. No, it was perfect.
Huh.
Grilled cheese sandwich, crumbled up bacon, fresh bacon, on the burger with another grilled cheese sandwich underneath.
I could go for that.
Cooked to perfection.
Ooh.
It was so good. I cannot wait to get another one. And a lot of times I'll wait to have 2 burgers or something before I really rate something that high. But my mother got I think it was like a mushroom onion burger, and you could just tell how good that is. And then it came with fresh cut garlic fries.
Huh.
My mouth is watering just talking about it.
We should, I was going to say, we're not in school anymore, but I was going to say we should do a field trip.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have an outing there with the Probably Wrong posse. That's them.
Yes.
And us, right?
I mean, I highly recommend. The place was busy. The burger came out. I didn't wait long. It was juicy. The bread was good. The fries were good. Looking around, like a lot of people were getting burgers.
Huh.
There's a lot of excitement in that voice tonight.
He's all fired up.
Yeah.
Nothing
But when we
fires me
talk
up.
food, I mean, Mike really gets going.
Nothing fires me up like that. You're like, I mean, there's a lot of good burger places. I mean,
Can they hear us now?
yeah, we should be good now.
All right.
If not, you know what? We got the YouTube and we got all of the Spotify and the iTunes,
All right, we got a comment.
which we got to keep going.
So, yeah, we're good. We're good. All right.
I mean, I just couldn't believe how good it was. And this Diamond in the Rough was right next door.
The whole time.
The whole time.
I haven't had a good burger in a long time. The last burger I had was terrible. So as you're talking about it, my mouth is starting to water. And then I love grilled cheese sandwiches. And you said no grease? I'll take the grease.
No grease.
I'll take it.
But, I've had them before. Not to say the other ones are bad, but, like, it's like really buttery or greasy. And then it's still good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was up there, top 5. I mean, Stoneforge Grill and Tavern has a really good burger.
Yeah.
This beat that. The Tinker Son in Norwell, great burger. This place beat that.
What else do you have on the list? We need some more burgers.
I love 110. A lot of people don't really particularly care for 110 Grill. I love it. Never had a bad burger there. Never had a bad meal. I've had probably a dozen burgers there. One Thursday a month before the union meetings, I'm at 110 Grill eating cheeseburgers with tater tots. So good. Chili's. We've talked about Chili's.
Oh, yeah, I love Chili's.
For a chain restaurant, they make some amazing burgers.
They sure do.
I know.
They sure do.
And then the always very underrated Papa Burger at Papagino's.
I used
Never
to
had
love
it.
that when I was younger. Haven't had one in a long time.
Yeah.
That Papa Burger.
Papagino's has kind of gone downhill.
See, I don't think so. I don't. Maybe it's just the one you're going to.
Maybe.
I mean, the one up the street here in Bridgewater and Whitman are still pretty good.
The old one they had in Plymouth that was down near the waterfront that closed years ago. That was like the best one to go to.
I never, for Papagino's, it probably was, but I can't picture myself going all the way
I
down
haven't
the
been to a
waterfront.
Papagino's in probably 30-something years. I don't even know if I've seen one.
There's one not far from you.
Where?
Right next to Roche Brothers.
Oh, I don't go there. Too far. Into the,
It's 5 minutes.
yeah, a lot of traffic in that area. Get stuck at all the lights. Terrible.
I highly recommend if you're looking for a burger, Meadowbrook in. I believe it's in Hanson. It's right on the East Bridgewater Hanson line. Very good, very good. So my mouth has been watering since Monday.
If we have a sports week coming up in the summer where there's nothing going on, can we go take a trip and grab a burger and have some of the people meet us at 6:00?
Yeah, we
Instead
could
of
do that.
if we have only the Red Sox to talk about.
Or we could pick up the burgers and eat them right here in front of everybody.
Oh yeah, they'll hate us. We'll lose the whole audience.
Might not taste as good,
No, it's only right over. It's not
traveling
far. It's not a far travel. So,
All right.
man, I'm just the taste. I'm not going to be able to concentrate the rest of the show. Let's get
Well, we
to
need a
the-
topic here.
let's
What's
get
the
to
first
Celtics.
topic?
Let's get to
Celtics.
what we saw last night. Let's get to.
Should we let Dave go since he's a basketball expert all of a sudden?
No expert here. I know there was a game.
Okay.
No, I checked it out once in a while, and it was like an up and down, and then Indiana kind of took over late, and then the Celtics had to battle back, and I know Jaylen Brown hit a 3-pointer that was huge to tie it, to go to overtime. But I mean, overtime seemed like they kind of took.
Tatum did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, they pulled away and kept it that way, which this Indiana team kind of is scary, I think. They've already shown you that they can beat you.
Oh, yeah.
With Porzingis, without, doesn't matter. And they just seem to put up a ton of points.
Yes, they play at a speed that I heard Jaylen Brown talking after the game. We need to get into our half court. They play at a chaotic speed, and they score a lot of points. They're not very talented. Halliburton is extremely talented, and he controls the tempo of the game. Unlike anyone on the Celtics, he controls that whole offense, and it's amazing to watch him because Indiana's not very skilled.
Can I back up a minute on that one? When you say, I think they have 3 studs. They have
Siakam
a
is
big
very
three.
good, and Turner.
Yeah. and Halliburton.
Yes.
That's a fearsome duel.
That's a good
Trio.
Right. But then you
The
look
math
at
skills again.
But then you look at the Celtics, and then after our top three, you're still looking at Drew Holiday. You're still looking at Derek White. You're still looking at Al Horford.
No, I'm not looking at Al Horford. Not looking at Hauser. Not looking at Pritchard because those match up
good.
with
Yeah, but I think Indiana's filled with role players, and you have just one guy that creates this upbeat tempo. And another thing that I was thinking about.
Wait, who's the one guy?
Halliburton.
No, because I think it's Siakam.
Siakam's a stud.
But he also creates his own offense.
Yes. But the flow of the game is a speed that Halliburton wants to play at. They were playing at this speed before they got Siakam this year.
Right, but
Siakam fits into what they're doing.
Always tried to play that speed when in Toronto when like Fred VanVleet and
Yeah.
Like
I like Siakam. Siakam's a very good player.
We talked about that at the trade deadline. That a lot of people overlooked that move, and that was a huge move, as we can see now.
Right.
But for Indiana.
Yeah. But they're not as skilled as we are as far as player for player. It's not even close to talent.
No, you can't say that. But I don't like the narrative that people are like, oh, this team, we should wash right over them. They're a bunch of bums.
I was calling my brothers before the game. I'm like, I'm nervous.
Oh, yeah.
When we had to play them to get into the play-in like Final Four, they beat us in Boston, I believe. Right? Was it in Boston?
Yep.
And the Celtics have a tendency to go up 10-15 and then take the foot off the gas pedal. This team doesn't stop.
No.
And because they don't stop, they're similar to the Knicks that way. They come back. Yeah. So I feel like we're going to win the series, but I also feel like these should be much easier games. Yeah. And they're not going to be. I think it's going to be a battle throughout. And imagine if we had, like, Rick Carlisle, I know he didn't make that timeout call at the end of the game, but he's coached these guys up to, I mean, you got guys that should be coming off the bench playing valuable minutes.
Yeah.
And imagine if we had a coach like Rick Carlisle with the talent that we have. We'd go on a 3-4 year run.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have the talent that we have, but they're going to play with us for 5 or 6 games.
Yep. It's the way they play their offense, where they throw that ball around. I shouldn't say throw that ball around, but the way they play is how I guess we wish the Celtics would play all the time.
Yes.
And what drives me crazy last night is you got Indiana down there, and they're throwing that ball all over the place, right? There, one side, this side, that, all over. It drove me crazy because the Celtics reminded me of dogs chasing a tennis ball. Right?
Yeah.
The ball's here, they throw it over here. The team runs after it.
But
the guy's wide open.
When we play well, we do the same thing.
They throw it back. No, I'm just saying our team defensively.
Yeah.
We were just chasing the ball.
Yes. And
we were leaving our man to chase the ball. It was almost like another one to put it to is little kids playing soccer. That ball went, our team chased it.
Right.
And it was easy as I'm going to throw it to Halliburton and then throw it back to Siakam because he's going to be open wherever he is.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it in here, make 2 passes, and now all the Celtics are running around with chickens with their heads cut off.
And it just seems like they have an offensive identity. They seem like they have a purpose. A lot of times when we're not in the flow of an offense, we get very stagnant where we're just kind of going iso ball. Is he quitting the show?
He's fucking off.
He's quitting the show. All right. It's me and you, Dave.
Yeah.
Glad you watched the game last night.
Indiana seems to be, as far as Eastern teams go, probably the worst matchup nightmare for the Celtics.
I think it's the pace that they play. And I think the Knicks, if they were healthy, would have brought a similar type of...
Similar, but I think they matched up better against the Knicks. The Pacers seem to be, I don't know, younger, more, I don't know what the word is.
They were the number
energetic.
One. They were the number 1 offense in the league this year.
Yeah.
The way they play.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's tough for any team to really keep up with them.
Yeah, but the Celtics are skilled enough to. That's the one team.
They are.
I mean, if they were number 1, then we're number 2. I actually thought we were number 1 and they were number 2.
No, we weren't. They were number 1.
All right, so we were number 2. So
it just drives me crazy that we are who we are defensively and how we are defensively, and then when we make these incredible mental lapses and leave guys consistently wide open, it drives me insane.
But you mentioned when teams move the ball, the human being cannot travel as fast as the ball.
Right.
So if you kind of get lazy defensively, then they're going to get wide open shots, and I think that's what happens. Yeah. They have, and we used to see it with San Antonio back in the day. They'd have all these like older veterans, but that ball is flying across the court, and nobody can really play defense on them.
No.
And the Celtics have a tendency to, like you said, have mental lapses, and you can't do it against a team like this because they play all out for 48 minutes.
And Tony Monahan chimes in, the Celtics have no grit. I'm
kind of with him a little bit.
But they buckled down last night. They
Yeah.
showed their grit last night. And that's what aggravates me. Is
more than they have before in the past.
Right, but they needed to last night, and they did.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how you can come away with the game last night and be like, they have no grit, where at the end of the game, they buckled down, they got the steal, they made the shot, overtime came, they took care of business, they did what they had to do.
They don't have the grit of Indiana. They don't have the grit of New York. They don't have they don't have the grit of Miami.
Why? Because these guys did it all through the regular season? Who cares?
Because they did it one time. To their credit,
But they did it when they needed to do it.
the Celtics team last year wouldn't have come back.
Yeah.
To their credit. During the season, maybe not have come back because we did blow 20-point leads during the season as
But
well.
so didn't everybody. It was the huge part of the NBA this year.
Yeah. And the way the NBA scores 140 points, people are going to blow 20-point leads. I get that. But I don't look at this as a team that has a lot of grit and heart. I look at it as that's the missing piece between them winning 2 or 3 championships.
Yeah.
And we don't know if they have it yet. We need to see more of it. What do you think, Dave?
We need to see if they can shut them down a little bit in game 2. Maybe this was a feeler game, kind of see what they were going to bring.
I think this is the best thing that could have happened to them because you know what? You go into game 2 like we need to be on our A game.
We need to be much better.
Jalen said after the game, we need to slow them down by going half-court offense.
Yeah.
That way they don't get all these quick, fast breaks.
Yeah, you don't go down with most of the shot clock left and just huck up a 3, especially when you're not hitting them.
Right.
Because that just all it does is turn the ball over, going the other way.
We've said it all year. If it comes within the offense, we're fine with the 3-pointers. But a lot of times it's just iso ball, jacking up 3s, fadeaway 3s, over to the side 3s.
But use that clock.
Yeah.
Run that clock down, then take your shots.
See, I hate the run down your clock. It drives me. That was the way that the
slows
Celtics
down teams.
But
with
that was the way that the
speed,
Celtics used to play. They would slow down the clock, and then the team would get the ball. The other team run down, hit a 3. They would slow down the ball. The other team would run down and score. And then before you know it, the Celtics had.
That's when you got to make adjustments.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with
You're professionals.
There's nothing wrong with bringing the ball up, making 4 or 5 passes until someone gets an open look.
Oh yeah, we said,
Not running down the clock, but not just dribbling
not just
up and firing up a 3.
One guy dribbling the
But
ball for 20
work the
seconds.
ball a little bit, and you're not running it down to 4 seconds, but run it down until somebody gets a good look.
I mean, last night really the big problem was we had 15 turnovers, and the Pacers scored 32 points off those 15 turnovers.
They transition fast.
And that, I mean, you cannot have 15 turnovers in the Eastern Conference Finals game.
In 2 of them, Jaylen Brown handed the ball off to Siakam once, and then one of them, Tatum just read the screen wrong.
He's looking at literally Drew Holiday and Tatum were touching,
and then he passed it. I'm like, what are you doing?
it.
I love Tatum, but it's like. Look, this is not the time to have a brain fart. Like, what are you doing?
No, but he. So I want to play a little game with you right now because there's a lot of Tatum hate, right?
Yeah, I think it's.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of Tatum hate.
It's not deserved, though.
And there's a lot of Anthony Edwards praise. There's a lot of Luka praise. There's a lot of Jokic praise. I want to rattle off some numbers, and I'm just going to because the rebounds, surprisingly, with all these guys, rebounds and assists between Jokic, Tatum, and Luka are almost the same. They're all average pretty much a double-double. Edwards is by far behind all 3.
Yeah.
But let's go over these games, right? You just name. So I'm just going to use Luka, Anthony Edwards, Jokic, and Tatum. Don't cheat here, Dave. All right? Last 5 games. 9 for 15, 12 for 22, 6 for 20, 7 for 17, 11 for 71. Now, mind you, all right? Sorry, I didn't mean to say
it's a lot of numbers.
All right, we'll do that again. 9 for 15, 12 for 22, 6 for 20, 7 for 17, 11 for 21. And this guy has got a ton of praise.
Still sounds like the same numbers. Is that Anthony Edwards?
No, Luka. All right?
Yeah.
12 for 26, 9 for 16, 11 for 25, 11 for 25, 7 for 17.
Jokic.
Tatum.
Okay. So
his numbers are better than Anthony Edwards.
we're not doing well with all these numbers.
But what I'm saying is, his numbers, I don't want to go through the rest of them here, but his numbers are better shooting-wise than Anthony Edwards and Jokic, and yet he is consistently getting ripped on in these playoffs.
But by Boston fans?
No, by nationwide. I mean,
nationwide. Not on your side.
Here, I'll play a little something for you here.
All right.
After game one.
Well, I'm disgusted with them because I think the offense looks awful. Somebody's got to say it, so I'm going to say it. The offense looks awful. And I've been on the record unapologetically.
I'm just going to pause this, Smith. So this is Stephen A. Smith ripping on the Celtics offense, saying how awful they are. Yet they're 9-2 in the playoffs right now.
He's also a Philly guy.
As much as I respect
Knicks
guy. He's a Knicks guy.
And the job that he's done, they did have the best record in basketball, and I get all of that. I've stated for the record, I think if Ime Udoka was still a coach of the Boston Celtics, they would be champions by now. They possibly would have won it last year. That's how I feel about them.
But I do agree with him what he said right there. He said if Ime Udoka was still their coach, they would be champions right now.
Yeah.
And so he goes on a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's not like the Celtics were like, you out of here. I mean, what he did.
They did say you out of here.
Well, that forced their hand.
But he goes on a little bit more here. I didn't realize how long this was. I didn't cut it up right. But basically saying how also Tatum's not really carrying. He's had some bad games. But really, statistically, we've talked about this over and over again.
Yeah, but his bad games are different. Like if Jalen has a bad game and can't score, he doesn't do much offensively. Tatum can have a bad game offensively, shoot under 45% or whatever, under 40%, but still facilitate for other people. So I think that's a little like when people say he has a bad game, ends up dishing out 8 assists, grabbing 9 boards. I'm like, not a bad game. It just maybe didn't shoot as well or maybe didn't score the 35 points. But I think people are a little too hard on him.
100% too hard on him because you got Anthony Edwards in the closeout game the other day.
And he didn't play well.
He didn't play well, but nothing. And then you have this game right here, and we'll go to local media, and they're ripping
Well, the
Tatum.
local media. I didn't even listen to local media today because I'm like, I'm not even going to deal with them.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to deal with them.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah,
I get it, guys out there, all of them, you have a show to do, but you know what? The guys. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I feel like Tatum is getting this because he's so laid back.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really come out with fire at anyone, so they just keep blasting him. I feel like guys that are laid back get more grief from the media. And,
100%.
And he's... I think Anthony Edwards is a little bit newer to the spotlight. This is Tatum's, how many times has he been in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Correct. Yeah.
So
Six, I think
six times out of 7 years. I think people are like, all right, now's your time. And I think now is their time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. When people say he has a bad game, I'm like, yeah, that's relative. That's like a bad game for someone else. That's going to be the greatest game of their life,
Right.
So I don't know. I think a lot of it is undeserved.
100%. And it's just like, now we're all Anthony Edwards fans. We
Love
love
him.
Anthony Edwards. But at the end of the day, they're like, oh, he's just nails. And he just talks a lot of crap.
He plays very hard.
He looks angry.
He plays very hard. He plays with a lot. And like Tatum, he can have a bad shooting night, but he brings other things to the table. He doesn't get as many assists, but he brings a lot of fire, a lot of energy, and I think that so that's another. These guys are superstars. So when they have off nights, they do other things on the court that the normal fans don't really pick up on.
Maybe Tatum needs to just get mean and stop being
I don't think that's
friendly
him.
with
I don't think that's him.
everybody.
But then you have Luka, and Luka doesn't get that way. Luka just constantly yells at the refs. But he's not a mean, angry player.
No,
They're like,
no.
oh, he's got that killer in him. Guys, I think you're just used to watching the highlights because Luka throws up a lot of bricks. Luka constantly complains. Luka constantly gets thrown out of games because he's complaining in technicals. He is... I like Luka, but he is what he is. He is not going to be the face of the NBA. He's probably never going to win a championship because of the way that he plays the game. And yet he's constantly put on this pedestal, and it's like Tatum's always chasing him.
Well,
Where it should
he
be...
keeps winning MVP.
It should be
right?
completely the other way around. This is as far as Dallas has made it in how long?
Yeah.
And it's because they got Kyrie.
Yeah, well...
It's because they have Kyrie.
Well,
these guys, don't forget, he had Jalen Brunson and Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah.
And they were both putting up numbers, don't forget.
Right,
they
right.
weren't playing bad.
Yeah, it's... I don't think an offense with him and Brunson... Those are both ball-dominant guys. I don't think that really works. And Brunson really developed when there was no Luka because he could dominate the ball, and he's obviously great at it. But you had two guys that needed the ball. Kyrie's actually matured a lot this year.
Yeah.
Because we haven't heard any talk from him.
No, even his post-game
He's better.
conferences.
He's better.
Yeah.
We finally realized he wasn't getting anywhere with the other stuff. Took him long enough.
And he's probably on a team that he likes being on. He's like, I can't mess this up because I've already been on about
Yeah,
5
no
or
one
6
else-
teams.
no
That's
one
going
else
to take
wants
me.
me.
What's the word? He was humanized. I don't know if that's the correct word I'm using, but because he seems, I mean, he's a little bit more jokey with the media.
I think he's just in a good situation. And he's happy.
When they've harped on him, when fans have harped on him, he's played a little bit more with them, where in the past he was very disgruntled. I mean, I forget, what was it a couple weeks ago in Dallas? I was a Brooklyn fan, or somebody yelling to him about why can't it be like this in Brooklyn, why just something, and he just goes out, he goes, that's the mayor and the owner. And everyone's basically chased me out of town.
I wonder if he was going through something like a bad relationship with a wife or something, because early in his career with Cleveland, he was pretty solid.
Yeah.
And then he had like a rough spell for about 4 or 5 years that he was having a ton. He just couldn't.
He went right up my rank of he was in the top 3 of my most hated sports players.
But now there's nothing he does that makes him hated.
How old is he now? He's got to be in his, early 30s?
in his 30s, yeah.
I mean, he come into the league at 19, 20 years old, and people expect the world of you at that age. You don't know anything then.
But it's also funny is he wanted out of Cleveland because he didn't want to be second fiddle to LeBron. And now look at him in Dallas.
Yeah, but
Well, he has no choice but to be
Right.
second
right.
fiddle.
At this point of his career, if he's
He was going to be second fiddle if he stayed here in Boston.
Right, and that's
He was-
also why he wanted out of here,
He
too.
was grooming Tatum and Brown.
Yeah,
and,
I wouldn't say grooming.
well, he was supposed to be.
Yes, there you
supposed
go.
to be. Of course, he was teaching them the wrong things.
Yeah. No,
so a win's a win. We'll take it.
it's going to be a tough game, too. Celtics have, over the past
gonna
couple
be a
years,
tough
have
series.
lost game 2 at home.
Yeah.
They're pretty notorious at it.
Yeah, but I think the fact that this was a really close game, I think the Celtics are going to be like, you know what, we need to buckle down and take this one. If it was a blowout, I think there's a better chance they lose game 2.
Right, all right.
I heard, a lot of cocky Celtics fans. Oh, sweep or a gentleman's sweep. No way. This one's going 6 or 7. Probably 7.
It should go 6. We should wrap this up in 6.
I'm hoping they take the first 2, lose game 3, Porzingis comes back for game 4. Once Porzingis comes back, we should win. If he can give us 20 to 25 minutes, we should win both of those games.
Get over this and stop figuring out what we're going to do
Stop
against
resting
Minnesota.
Porzingis and
Because
then,
I said this last week. You guys thought I was crazy. I wanted Denver. This Minnesota team scares me. The way Minnesota plays, and it's not just Edwards. It's Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. We have no one who can stop them.
I don't think anyone said you were crazy because of that. I think that's a tough matchup. They actually gave us our first loss at home this year, was it?
Yep.
I
Minnesota?
thought that was Denver.
No.
Denver was our second, right after the Minnesota loss. And they have 2 bigs that we have a hard time matching up with.
Mike Conley's playing like he's young again.
I like Mike Conley. And then
No.
they, what's the sixth man?
Jaden McDaniels is another starter on the
Sixth
team.
man off the
playing good.
bench.
Naz Reid.
Yes.
Is,
Another big, an athletic big.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to show the lack of depth that we have at the bigs because you can't play Luke Cornett versus these guys. He's going to get
I
torn.
don't understand why we didn't say Xavier Tillman last night. What are
His
we doing?
father died. He wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Personal reasons. So,
All right.
and I think he's out
Good
the
job,
next
Mike.
game.
Completely missed that.
Yeah. His father passed away. But he's not. He's not.
Whoops.
He's not very mobile though.
No, but it's another big body out there.
Yeah.
I
think
he can be used in this series. He can 100%. He's good defensively.
Yeah.
That was like one of Brad Stevens' big moves.
But Turner likes to play around the 3-point line. I don't want to see Tillman out there.
You need something because Al Horford is a liability on defense.
Yeah, they're tearing him apart.
Yeah, it's well deserved.
You're counting Dallas out.
Yes, I'm counting Dallas.
Yeah, I don't think they have the talent to get there.
Yeah, 100%. You're not going to beat this team with P.J. Washington and
As your
Luka
third
and
best
Kyrie.
player.
It'd be kind of
Luka-
fun to see Kyrie coming back to Boston.
No,
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
I want Dallas. I'm
Yeah,
pushing
that'd
be
for Dallas.
interesting. I
think
we
we'd kill Dallas.
Kill Dallas.
Yeah, I think for them to win games, Luka and Kyrie have to combine for about 80 points.
Which they can do.
They can do maybe one game. Luka's all
Yeah.
banged up. Maybe one game. I just don't see them. Minnesota's good. They're good. And early in the season, people were like, oh, the Celtics are the favorite. I'm like, not so fast. I mean, if we go up against Minnesota,
Yeah,
we'll probably be favored, but I could see Minnesota winning that series.
As the season went on, Minnesota, we talked about it. Minnesota started to click.
Yeah.
And once that team gelled, we're
really
seeing it
good.
now. Watch out.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Well, so I don't know. I'm worried about that when we get there.
But one good thing we have on Minnesota and all these other teams, we have a lot more experience.
Correct.
Usually when we get somewhere, the other teams have as much or more experience than us.
Yeah.
We have way more experience than every other team out there.
Yeah.
Right,
But the experience really hasn't been a problem for this Minnesota team. They handled business. They went
Right.
They went into Denver down by 17
I
and
think
came back
Denver
to win.
was gassed by the and right away the Denver coach, what a weak move after they lost. Well, we won last year and it's a lot of games. Jamal Murray, same thing. Jokic comes out and
I love him.
yeah, he goes, you know what? 7-game series. The best team always wins in a 7-game series. They asked him, were you tired? Or like, it's late in the season. Everyone's tired. So he took the high road with that.
You can't make excuses.
Yeah,
like
with
that.
the coach right away, it's like, well, these guys, they won it last year, and it's a short turnaround until training camp. I'm like, dude, shut up.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we'll have a
Really,
new champion
exactly.
this year. We'll have a
Yeah.
new champion, which is cool.
Very much looking forward. Can't wait to tonight's game.
And we have 4 young stars, like future faces of the franchise.
Edwards,
Edwards,
Tatum,
Halliburton.
and
Luka's younger than Tatum.
you're right.
4 young stars that could hopefully go on a run for the next 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully, right? And be the next version of like LeBron.
The NBA is in a good place.
Oh yeah, great. You know, it's not in a good place.
We'll play this for the very last time. All right,
We didn't hear this very often.
This is it. Should we let it play just a little bit longer? Because you're not going to hear it for so long. I'll have to bring
It's
in.
all right.
I'll have to bring in.
I'm over it already.
Well, I mean, obviously,
I was
with
over it that night.
The
I kinda
Jacobs
knew.
are too.
Yeah. And as usual, not looking to do anything different. So expect the same next year.
Well, I think you need to do something different because if anything came out of this year, I know this is your minute, but now you know that you have a number 1 goaltender. Going into this year,
You should know.
So Allmark has to go.
He should. But that doesn't mean he's going to.
He has to because you got to sign Swayman.
You do. Then they have quite a bit of cap space this year for the first time in quite some time. But they still have like so many bad contracts, and Sweeney has not done a very good job of he doesn't draft well, and his free agents really haven't done much of
Sweeney or Belichick?
Yeah.
They sound the same right now.
Well, they pretty close. Sweeney talks a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I honestly thought maybe this was time to move on from the management they have, and they obviously are not.
Dave, I don't think we're going to see that ever happen unless one of them step down.
And they won't. But Sweeney, I made this point a long time ago, and I got blasted for it. Colorado went and had Joe Sakic as their GM. The guy was a winner. He built a winner. Steve Yzerman was the general manager in Tampa. He was a winner. He built a winner.
He keeps building winners.
He's in
Great
Detroit again now.
NHLPA.
Sweeney wasn't a winner.
Sweeney was never
He was
a winner.
A wiener.
Yeah.
He was
He really
small.
was.
He was a small defenseman. He had speed, but never won anything.
Classic wiener.
And this is what he's doing right now with this team is he's going after small players and nobody that really has any grit.
Some would say going after more wieners.
He does. I mean,
These guys are just fragile. They're not fragile in the fact that they get injured, but they get tossed around. They get bent. They get beat up. This is like we don't have tough guys.
No, it looks like, and I don't watch a lot of hockey, but it just looked like Florida was much tougher. We're more of a finesse team, but we're not a finesse team. We're not, right?
Florida had 4 lines that Paul Maurice doesn't mind throwing out there in any situation. Boston
Had 2.
had 2. Yeah. He was double shifting Pasternak the entire second and third period of Game 6. The guy couldn't move by the middle of the third period.
Right.
He's worn out. You can't do that in a 7-game series. You can't run with 8-10 guys and leave the other one sitting on the bench just getting cold. So they have no depth, and they've got some older guys that really just didn't do it. And this year, they've got a bunch of free agents hopefully leaving. Hopefully they're not going to bother re-signing any of them. Maybe, and I know Mike might not like this, but maybe Maroon, even though he's going to be a year older. But
is he cheap money?
Dave,
he'll be real cheap money.
I'm fine with them getting Maroon. I'm fine with that. But as Tony Martin here says, which I completely agree with him, I think all of Boston agrees with him, they need a playmaker.
Which
Brad's getting old. I don't mind if they keep Brad. He's got probably next year will be his last year. They need someone up there that can free Pasternak. They need someone to they need not just a playmaker. They need a scoring center.
Yeah, Draisaitl has come up, which I would love because he's a younger.
Yeah.
And Stamkos.
Which pisses me off is where Sweeney used to say, screw your no trade clause, you're going to Edmonton.
He can't.
I don't care.
He can't do it.
He's
got 15 teams that he can trade him to, and
but what I said last
too
week,
dumb to trade him to those 15 teams.
Trade him, or you're going to play in Providence all year.
Then send him to Providence.
Yeah.
Or set up a 3-team deal where, it's not straight to Edmonton. It's a trade with Edmonton sending something else.
Yeah.
You got to be innovative. If this guy has a trade clause in all sports, you got to be innovative to get him out of here.
If they would have just sent him to Providence, he'd probably take that because he's
right.
I heard an interview with him, and he talked about how he loves it in Boston, how the kids are happy, the family's happy.
Then retire.
He's collecting a payment. He's not going to retire. He's getting paid.
But Sammy, you're a professional sports athlete.
He's not the typical Boston athlete.
But not just Boston. I mean, you're not the typical athlete because
right. Well,
you can't get committed to a school system, to one place.
I know.
To one wife.
Yeah, but we have known other
guys,
athletes to collect a paycheck. Like, when we think of Boston athlete, we think of, people that want to play. And I don't think he cares.
But I'll tell you what, though. Sweeney has always been one of those, loyal to players. That's why it's the same team every year.
Yeah.
He falls in love with these guys. And I think...
Much like how Ainge used to be.
And I think, when he signed Linus, he figured this was going to be the guy. And I don't know if he had any intentions of Swayman taking the job or making it hard for him.
I didn't.
I know you didn't.
You know what? Credit to you.
I did.
Because you didn't like him last year, and you were able to change your mind based on what you saw. A lot of times in life, people don't like a certain thing, but they're so dug in that you were dug in last year, but you came around.
I came around. You know what was the final nail in the coffin for me coming around? I love Marchand.
Yeah.
One of my favorite all times. I don't care if he's not as good as all time. I just love him. Him and Swayman did this reel together, and I'm like, all right, he's got me.
Yeah. That's all it took. He should have done the reel last year.
But I think it was this year, there was a lot more of Swayman. You got to see a lot more of who he was, when before it was just a crappy goaltender between the pipes. I think this year, not just he did a good job, but the Bruins did a good job of promoting him a little bit more.
He was also a kid last year.
Without the mask. But it just, you saw, he got to, okay, you're right. Maybe he was a kid last year and wasn't mature enough, because when the microphone got in his face this year, he was, I don't want to say fun-loving, but he's
likable.
Very likable.
He's colorful.
And promote this guy, and I came around on him.
Ullmark won the Vezina last year?
Yes.
How do you like that? So how can you promote him as a backup when you have the starter? So it was difficult for them, but then he played above expectations, and now he's hopefully a guy for the next 10 years, right?
Leah Hextall said something about Swayman before one of the games where
any relation to Ron?
I don't know if she is, actually.
I thought she was. I was like, oh, all right.
Who's this Leah Hextall?
She pulled him aside, and he was talking to her, interviewing her before a game, and she said, goalies don't usually talk before a game. They're very odd. They like to be by themselves.
Like a place kicker.
He's not.
Yeah.
I mean, after he makes a big save and they blow the whistle and go to a commercial, he skates over towards the crowd, gives them a nod.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows that they love him here.
Yeah.
He made a glove save on Kachuk in Game 6, and I mean, it was a beauty.
Yeah, sorry.
Got a standing ovation. You know, they went to commercial, and he's skating over to the crowd like, you know.
Yeah, and after they lost Game 7, right? Was it Game 7?
No, 6.
Game 6. They were chanting his name after the loss.
Yeah.
And
Guys, shut up. Not you, shut up.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I'm one of these guys that I can't stand cheering a team that just blew a game. Like,
They
no.
didn't blow a game, though.
But to me,
They
they
were
should
not
have won.
gonna win that
I've never
series.
been the guy to cheer a team unless they lost, like, Game 7 Eastern Conference Finals and they lost a heartbreaker. Then I'm going to cheer you.
But I think, going back to what Dave said, this Florida team with 4 lines was much more talented. So as a Bruins fan, you're probably like, hey, this guy played his heart out.
I'm sorry. If we shot the puck, we could have beat this team.
Yeah,
Because
we
the
could have,
2 games
but
that
they-
we shot the puck, we beat them.
They could have beat them, but they weren't as talented. Because even when I was watching with my virgin eyes, if you will, I'm watching, I'm like, Florida's just better. Like, they just look better to the naked eye for me.
Yeah.
So if he played that well, like, I'm okay with the fans kind of cheering him on. They probably appreciated his efforts this season, and I think that's your guy. That's kind of like him and Pasternak. Those are the faces of your franchise.
Yeah.
For the next, hopefully.
And you just reminded me of another. So we just talked about how Swayman was kind of this year was his coming out. We saw a lot more of Pasternak this year as well.
So I was going to comment on that. Pasternak played well, and he played more noticeable early on. But, like I said, he was double shifted.
Oh, he was dead.
lot.
That's not his fault, though.
His legs were dead in just about every one of those games. If people go back and watch, he could barely move.
Yeah.
You can't do that
But what I was
to your
getting
star
at
players.
was nothing hockey related. I just meant him. He was going out to Bruins games. You saw him at Celtics games. You saw him
Well,
constantly.
I hope he's going to the Bruins games.
No,
Should be playing.
I meant to say Red Sox
Yeah,
games. He was definitely going to the Bruins games, but you saw more of him. You saw like
like
the
that.
real. You saw. I started to like him. The little stories they started doing with his daughter, and he, you know, usually that stuff aggravates me. Like with Steph Curry, these other guys constantly throwing your daughter. I don't think he was putting his daughter in there. He was just, you know, little sweet little things. But I just think the Bruins this year did a great job of taking Pasternak and Swayman and making them look human. And I think that made a lot of people, a lot of haters like myself, fall and start to rally around Swayman. And I think, I mean, I've always liked Pasternak, but I think the more that you saw him, the more that you say, like, wow, this is a really good guy.
Yeah.
I think that took a lot of people being like, all right, I'm happy he's going to be here. He's our star.
And as
He paid
Boston
us.
fans, we like it when players go to other games, like seeing Ortiz at the Celtics game yesterday, seeing Drake May at a Bruins game and at a Celtics game. We like our athletes doing that.
Stay involved with it.
Yeah, and it's like,
It's great
you're
to
one
see.
of us. You're a fan watching
Yeah.
these games. We like that because in Massachusetts, in New England, our athletes are our celebrities. You know, you go to New York and they have all these, whatever, real celebrities in around this area. It's just our athletes, right?
Yeah. 100%. And now it's over.
I feel
Yeah.
pretty
Just like
confident with some of the younger players finally with the Bruins. They haven't had any young talent to really speak of in the last, I don't know, I don't even know how long, years. But Patra and this kid Lorai, he was their best defenseman in the playoffs, and he didn't even
100%,
start in the playoffs.
Was McAvoy, how do you say it, McAvoy? Was
I
he
like
hurt?
the name.
McAvoy.
I like McAvoy.
Yeah.
I like that better.
McElroy.
I think.
Charlie. What the hell's his name? Charlie.
I like
Charlie.
Charlie. I like
So,
what you said. That's,
yeah.
that's his new name.
Was he hurt?
He was overworked.
He was overworked.
Same
Okay.
same as Pasternak. Oh, just
Wait, dude.
overused.
Guys, people were getting on him. We pointed this out, I think, in January. Remember, we were kind of going down the minutes and how they were going to have to start resting guys, and we were looking at, how do you say his name again? McAvoy?
McAvoy.
McAvoy.
We were looking at how much he was getting used. I mean,
it was too much.
they beat him up all year, and I know people will be like, "Oh, he's young, he should handle it." No, because he was getting not only minutes wise, he was the guy out there getting slammed around.
Yeah.
But the guys that Sweeney got to come in and be on that third defensive pair and maybe take some minutes was, a 35, a 37-year-old Shattenkirk.
Right.
You're
Which
not
you can't
taking
do it.
minutes away from McAvoy with him. They brought in Wotherspoon, which I really was impressed with
Yeah, he had
how
a
he
good,
played. But Forbort, he's injury prone. He's good at blocking shots. He's a big body, but really didn't help in the playoffs. They don't have a defenseman that stands out as a playoff defenseman until Lori started playing.
Hard-nosed, physical, is that what you mean by that?
Just elevates the game. I mean, Lori played out of his mind in the games that he played in. He started the playoffs in Providence.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he got called up because of injury and because of lack of effort from some of the other defensemen.
Isn't this how McAvoy also got? I'm calling him McAvoy now.
It's McAvoy.
McAvoy.
What is it, McElroy?
Neither.
Just McAvoy.
McAvoy. I need a spelling on this. Can somebody spell it out for me?
His name is Chuckles Macaroni.
Macaroni. All right, Macaroni.
He just came right out of college and was thrown right into the playoffs.
Into the playoffs,
and
yes,
he played well his first year in the playoffs.
Macaroni?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Hampus Lindholm is a guy they signed him long term. They're stuck with him, right? Not a playoff player, terrible actually in the playoffs. And they rolled him out there just as much as McAvoy. So with Lori kind of cementing a spot on this team with this playoff run, I look forward to seeing him. Maybe if he puts on a little bit of weight. That's the only thing with him. He's a real skinny kid.
Start eating the double grilled cheeseburgers with Snelly.
Yeah. Come on down
Mama
to Bridgewater,
Snellgrove.
East Bridgewater.
Yeah. Yeah, and that fatigue, that happens in every sport. We've seen Matthew Judon break down.
Judon breaks down. We've seen Tatum
break down.
Yeah.
It's overusage. Al Horford, we've seen him. Not that he's a premier player anymore, but you gotta manage these minutes during the regular season.
Even last season, when Pasta was chasing 60 goals
for what?
He
can be burnt out come playoff time,
right? And that was the thing. They kept throwing him out there. They're up 4-1 in a game, 3-1, empty net. Throw him out there.
Yeah.
How about not?
Yeah. You got the wrong goal in mind.
Yeah. And that's regular season wins, and that's
which
Don
means
Sweeney
nothing.
For you.
Yeah, regular season stats. Who cares?
Right.
We want the cup. Damn it! It's been too long.
I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
They cannot get the puck out of their own end. This is true. They had a hard time getting anything to go their way out of their own zone, and Florida seemed to walk right out of their zone.
Yeah.
It just always seemed like Florida was on a power play. It just always seemed like they had control.
We got Victor Rossi had. These guys can't get the puck out of their own end. They need a two-way 70-point-plus center. Completely agree with you. We've been saying that for years.
Where do you get that guy?
Gotta go.
There's a list of free agents this year that they could fix that problem.
Didn't they come out today and say that they were going to spend money? They were going to. They did the typical Boston thing that we've heard from the Patriots and the Redsox.
That's what Mayo said.
They're going to be aggressive.
And the thing is, they can be a little more aggressive this offseason to go after a big-name free agent because of the young players that have small contracts.
We finally have some salary cap.
Yeah.
We finally have some money. If we got rid of Allmark.
On a rookie contract. Poitras on a rookie contract.
Can you just give Allmark away for nothing just to open up some more money?
I mean, the guy's got value.
He's got value, but if he doesn't have... These teams know there's a limited amount of teams that can actually trade for him.
Yes.
Right.
So it might just be worth being like, hey, just give us a fourth-line guy just so we can open up $4 million a year or whatever he's making.
Yeah.
The teams that were dying to get him were offering quite a bit.
The Kings were dying to get him.
Yeah, so was Edmonton
But
at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But those are on his no trade.
He doesn't want to go to the West.
This guy.
He wants to stay in the East. I'm not sure if it's East Coast or just Northeast, but he's going to stick to his guns, too. He's not going anywhere.
Well, if you can free up $4 or $5 million to help sign that 70-point scorer, you might have to get rid of him for nothing.
Yeah, if they can get someone to take him. Yeah, Barkov is a tough player to get there. Victor Southgate, a guy like Barkov.
How about Owen Nolan? Any way we
tough.
can get him? Does he still play? Quebec Nordiques?
The thing is, the Bruins expected Charlie Coyle to be similar to Barkov.
Out of Weymouth?
A big body to kind of hold on to the puck, keep people off, being able to reach it, and then making plays. The difference is Barkov makes plays, and Coyle, not really.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it because he had a great regular season, but, postseason, I don't think he had any points.
You know who made the play the other night? Your boy Zaka.
Finally scored his first.
Yeah, you were talking so much crap about Zaka and DeBrusque. All of a sudden, DeBrusque makes a pass.
I got to say something about this show. All right? I think 3 or 4 times between Bruins and Celtics players, more than even Red Sox players, we've come on this show and trashed them. After the show, bet on those players.
Yeah.
Because every
it seems to work. Yeah.
Are they listening?
Because Dave went on a 34-minute rant about how Zaka sucks. All of a sudden, Bruins are up 1-0. Zaka scored. I'm like, wait a second. I thought he was terrible.
He did absolutely nothing in the playoffs. He finally scores his first career goal, and then they have that little miscommunication in front of Swayman, and the puck ends up in the net.
Ridiculous.
So, it was, great regular season. I think they played themselves into Toronto purposely. They lost their last 2 or 3 regular season games to get Toronto.
We weren't fans of that. At least I wasn't.
You weren't. You know what? I would have taken Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is old. They're kind of...
I agree with you. That's why I said let's go with Tampa Bay.
But I also know that they were going to walk past Toronto, too. Or not walk past them.
Barely.
I think if that kid Wall hadn't gotten hurt, the goalie, Toronto might have pulled that series out.
Now we go into a long off season.
Free agency doesn't start till, July 1st.
And then things will be focused all soon just on one team and one team only.
Wasn't the spring and spring
this is why we should step out one of these weeks and grab a burger.
Because
if this is the only thing they're talking about,
it's going to be a tough summer.
It's going to be a tough summer.
I don't know. What do you want to say about these guys tonight? Although we've had a couple.
They're playing over 500. They're in 3rd place in the American League East. I think. I don't know. I mean, my biggest issue with this team is the lack of moves they made in the offseason. It's not the players' fault. They're playing above 500. They're playing hard. Rafi Devers is hitting the crap out of the ball. Tyler O'Neill's still on fire. They seem to play hard. They're running the bases.
They're trying. They're just not that good.
They're just not that good. They have guys that should be playing minor league baseball consistently playing.
Yeah, in the starting lineup.
And that's not that's management's fault.
Right. They're doing the best they can with what they got.
And the starting pitching still hanging in there. They're 27-25, I believe, 3rd place in the American League East.
We just had a
Which isn't bad compared to what you thought.
We thought going in that this is a 5th place team. And Tampa Bay, I didn't really like Tampa Bay this year after Wander Franco molested a child, which is disgusting, and they traded Tyler Glasnow. I didn't think Tampa Bay would be great, and they're not. And Blue Jays aren't playing well. I thought they would be better, but Sox are playing pretty well, and they have some likable guys.
It seems like the common theme that all we can say about them every week, Tony.
Really,
is that they have some likable
guys. They're not very talented.
No, and I was telling someone the other day before we go any spiel. They're talking about how bad this team is, and I go, you know what? It's not that they're not. I mean, I can't say they're not bad. They when they play good teams, they're bad. But when you watch these guys, and I know I'm beating this ad nauseum because we've talked about this over, they're having fun, and it's enjoyable to watch guys who are having fun.
Yeah,
it's enjoyable to watch guys who are playing hard, like you just said. Even after these guys make stupid errors in years in past, you'd see Duran deflated out there.
Yeah.
You'd see Devers just kicking the dust over there. You'd see these guys making stupid plays still, but they're picking themselves right back up, getting right back in. Something has changed with this team in the chemistry. I don't know if it was Cora. I don't know.
Tyler O'Neill, maybe?
I don't know.
Because Cora said early on he has a big voice in the locker room. Maybe. Because they're without their shortstop. They're without Tristan Casas. That's a big bat. That's a potential 35-homer bat.
Yeah.
And they're still hanging in there. They're scoring runs. I don't know what else to say. I mean,
there's not much.
I know in the minors, Marcel Mayer's looking good. Roman Anthony's looking good. My what kind of bothers me a little bit is both of them are left-handed bats. So you talk about Duran being left-handed, Devers being left-handed, Cassis being left-handed, Marcel Mayer being left-handed, Roman Anthony being left-handed. It's a lot of left-handed bats. Why did we sign Yoshida if you knew everybody else was left-handed? So that kind of makes me a little nervous that...
Who's the pitching prospect they have that they're really high on?
They have their top prospects are a catcher, a shortstop, and an outfielder.
Guys, we have a long off season.
Yeah, it's going to be a terrible
to
offseason.
go over
I don't know who they're
prospects.
I just know, Pittsburgh brought up that kid Skeens.
Oh,
Yeah.
number 1 pick overall last year.
Yep.
He's been...
He knows he's relevant because he just got his card 2 minutes
Oh,
ago.
yeah. He just threw 6 no-hit innings with 11 Ks on Saturday.
Yep.
One walk, no hits, 11 Ks. Number 1 pick overall out of LSU. Throws an easy 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
impressive.
he's fun. And
Yeah.
he likes to talk. He's a wild thing.
He's got a hot chick, too.
Yeah.
And she likes to
Yes,
talk,
that's
too.
right. Livy Dunn.
I don't know,
think her
Ray,
name
but
is.
she's very hot,
Yeah.
and she's very, she's all in on him being a great...
Oh, yeah.
It seems like a good girlfriend.
Yep. Did you guys this weekend happen to catch Tyson Fury?
Oh, I saw the highlights.
And
It was on at a weird time, right?
he was in Saudi Arabia time. Let's see if I
Okay.
can print it. Alexander Usyk.
Related to McAvoy.
I think I nailed his name.
Yeah, okay.
I think of everything that I've destroyed in the 2 years that we've done this show,
Which
and
has been a lot.
and I nail this.
Yeah.
What a fight!
I didn't see it. I am surprised. I thought when Fury was fighting Deontay Wilder,
Yep.
a few fights that they had, I was thinking in my head, like, this Fury's a freak athlete. I don't think he'll ever be beat. And this guy beat the crap out of
And
him.
it's funny because I like the personality. I think what disappoints me is Fury. I wanted Fury to win only because his personality of late has started to come out a little bit more.
Yeah, he's very fun.
Very fun. Makes fun of his body. Talking about the
Dad bod times 10.
And boxing needs that.
They need something because nobody's watching.
He was getting pounded on, but he wouldn't go down, right?
Right.
All right, I saw some of that.
He was getting lifted.
He was being held up by the ropes.
Oleg was.
Yeah, it looked like he should have gone down, but the kid kept coming at him and hitting him more, and he just kept standing up and bouncing off the ropes.
But that's what we need. Like, we need boxing. We need these things. I mean, everyone hates the Jake Paul stuff, but he's. I'm sorry, he's brought relevance back to boxing.
Yeah, he's made it.
He's made it a little bit more that to put the spotlight on it. Nobody really would have cared to anything about this fight. And it's like all of a sudden you see boxing and you're like, oh, what is this? Is this Jake Paul? No.
Yeah.
Who is this other guy talking crap?
You see the face-to-face with Tyson and Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
No.
It's not too bitch because you know what? Everyone says Tyson is the one who got Jake Paul into this.
I know. They're
I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying
No, I'm just saying they're friends.
Yeah.
But now that they're doing this fight thing, Jake Paul's like trying to be like animated and gets up in his face and he's posing with the fists like up in Tyson's face, and Tyson's just standing there like, I'm not going to do this. And then he just backs off. And then they go to their little separate tables to do interviews, and Jake Paul's over there like, I'm going to knock him out and this and that, and Tyson's just like...
Tyson just rips up and down like, you couldn't knock this guy out. You couldn't knock this guy out. You expect to knock me out?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of bringing like a different energy to a sport that was dying.
Yeah, and I think
100%.
MMA kind of deflated boxing. I'd much rather watch MMA, UFC than boxing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough to have a platform for both.
I think the problem with UFC is, I mean, if you really like that kind of stuff, you're into it no matter what. Where UFC needs guys like Conor McDavid, needs guys like
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor, sorry. Needs guys like the guy Patty that everybody hates. Needs the personalities to bring interest to the sport. Needs, not just that, is the personalities. And what was it a couple weeks ago that we were actually talking about the UFC on the show because of how good the fights were, and we had the personality mixed with it.
Right.
You know?
When guys see the clock ticking down and go, all right, let's just do this.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it makes it more interesting.
And it's just easier for the casual fan. Shorter matches. And if it's on at a bar, you're going to kind of watch it. If boxing's on at a bar, boxing...
The only reason you're watching boxing is the sales job that they did before. That's it. You need it's honestly, it's like wrestling. because you need the personalities, you need the guys, you need the Furies.
Yeah.
You need people like that. You need the guys to be able to sell the fight, to talk crap, to get you interested. Like these light heavyweights right now with the Ryan Garcia and the Gianna. These guys, you see clips and you're like, oh, what is this? And before you know it, you're listening to these guys talking trash, no matter how fake it is or not. Now you're interested to see what's happening.
It helped in the 90s.
It still helps now. That's how you sell it.
But it helped in the 90s when you had a ton of heavyweights. And I can think, I used to watch a lot of...
Sorry, I didn't let you finish.
I used to watch a lot of boxing. So I remember Razor Ruddock and Michael Moore and Ray Mercer and Tommy Morrison and George Clooney and George Foreman and Larry Holmes and Michael Spinks. Like, there were so many...
You know the key thing with a lot of those guys? American.
Okay. But there were so many opportunities for, like, good fights. Yeah. Holyfield, Razor Ruddock... Mike Tyson. I just don't.
So the problem with it now, Tony, is one, there's not a real big American fighter to draw, and the other thing is they take these guys now, especially in America, and you give them so many tomato can matchups to build
up the record,
and then you meet somebody, and then you lose, and now it's
you're done. You're done. All that for nothing. Yeah.
You know, before, and it's like you got a lot of guys ducking, not wanting to fight, like this Anthony Johnson and Deontay Wilder. I remember when they were coming up, like, why aren't these guys fighting each other?
They can't take the loss.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this is what's ruining boxing. That's why you get these guys, these foreigners, like this Oleg and Tyson Fury, who will pretty much fight anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what you need. You know, as he said, animals. You need animals.
Right.
You know, and then that's what those guys that you were just saying.
And there were so many of them, so there were so many possibilities, but now I just don't know.
If you got an American fighter that just came up, a heavyweight, and just fighting everybody, and stopped ducking, he doesn't even have to be the greatest speaker. The people would rally around him. You know? It's just disappointing.
Yeah.
That's all. And not to mention all the corruption with boxing. So, that also is a killer.
Corruption with everything, which will probably bring us into our next topic.
Do you want to go right to Karen Reed, or do you want to talk a little bit of Caitlin Clark?
Let's do Caitlin Clark.
Of her getting the crap kicked out of her for 4 games.
Oh, really?
You just watched it? They're just slamming her around.
Yeah. Well, you kind of had a feeling they were going to kind of set the tone with her.
Oh, yeah.
But to her credit, I saw her stat line the other day. She shot over 40% from three-point land.
She's averaging 17 points a game, 4 games. Seems like they play the Connecticut Sun every night.
They're 0-15 versus the Connecticut Sun. Connecticut Sun is 15-0. Her turnovers have gone down a little bit.
Yeah.
So she's hanging in there.
Yep.
Yeah. So I haven't watched it. I'd like to catch some of her games. They're on at weird times, so I never really know when to watch them. But I would watch them.
So I watched the other night, and some of this. It's tough because we're now starting to talk about it because of some of these girls. And I hate to say it. I know I've said it before. I know these games are so bad.
It's like YMCA basketball. So it's terrible.
The other night, right? So Caitlin Clark, I just want to go to the final play of the game. Right? They pass it inbounds. The girl gets it. They double team her. The center's wide open going in for a layup. They pass her the ball. She goes in for a layup. I mean...
Falls?
No, just literally throws it up beside the rim.
Oh, God.
And I'm looking, I'm like, that's women's basketball.
Yeah. For now, maybe it'll change. But I almost feel like her turnovers, or any turnover in the WNBA, should come with an asterisk. Like, she made a pass one game to this girl. The girl was wide open. The girl fell down.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't be a turnover on Caitlin Clark. This girl can't walk.
There's a lot of falling. And I don't know what's worse, flopping in the NBA or are these women just falling?
I think the fact that they can't walk and they're playing a professional sport, I think that's pretty bad.
Like, I'm watching it, and it's like a lot of Jaylen Browns.
Yeah, just falling. Into what? Like, there's nobody around you. You tripped on your own shoe.
Dribbling down. And one of them the other night, I was watching, because I really like the Cameron Brink, and I'm watching this girl dribble on her, and she's pointing to her foot that she kicked the ball. And the ref was like, you could hear her go, the ball was nowhere near your foot. You dribbled it off the ground.
Yeah. It's just... Maybe it changes. I hope it changes. Because I'd like to watch Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
But if you start watching these games and you got girls firing it off the side of the backboard, it's not going to be. It's not going to be a great watch for us sports fans.
So there's one thing that I'm looking forward to because the Indiana Fever stinks.
Yeah.
They've gotten 2 number 1 draft picks in a row.
All right, and they haven't won yet this year.
So I'm hoping that they stink enough that next year they are able to draft Paige Buckers from UConn.
That's the shooter, right?
That's the shooter.
Now, her
And
with
she's
Caitlin
also
Clark,
got a great personality. Her and Caitlin Clark, they don't mind each other.
No, that Caitlin Clark would be able to facilitate to her.
You want this year in college basketball, they're gonna have Paige Buckers everywhere because she's good. She's that good.
Yeah.
And just the possibility that those two girls could be on the same team.
Would it be like Curry and Klay Thompson?
Oh yeah, perfect.
Ooh.
Perfect. Yeah.
Because if she's a shooter like that, that's what Klay Thompson is.
Yep, and she could put the ball down.
They
And
could
take
be
it.
the Splash Sisters.
And again, I hate to keep saying this because it sounds so sexist. She plays like a man when she takes it to the hole.
Tough,
takes the contact, will make the shot. The way she dribbles, it's like we keep saying it, and it feels like we're salesmen for the WNBA. They're bringing this new style of basketball in, and it's going to save. It's going to save them.
Yeah.
Yes, save us, Tony.
Tony Mine wants to talk about Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix.
Yeah, save us.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I finally see it. But I know the fans, the crowd, everybody wants to know what happened this week in Karen Reed.
Oh, there's a lot to talk about. Who's going first, Dave?
No, you go. You are the.
This is.
I am the
you're
Karen
the
Reed
reporter.
specialist.
You know?
I feel, as of now, there is no evidence either way. People are saying she's 100% innocent or she's 100% guilty. How do you know? There's no evidence. And I feel like the plaintiff is bringing people up, and they're not really presenting the case that she did it. They're presenting the case that everybody that I'm bringing up is innocent. It's kind of weird. It's like you guys aren't on the defense right now. Like, we want to hear facts.
Yeah, you're not on trial.
Nobody's on trial yet. Like, you're on trial, but it's not you going to jail.
They come up on the stand and be like, I didn't do it.
Like, this isn't about you doing it. How did she do it? And we haven't gotten there yet. So we're 3 weeks in, and there's no evidence either way.
There's no end in sight.
There's no. They said it's going to be about 5 weeks more of this.
How long was the OJ trial? Do you remember?
I don't.
I was in
14,
college. I don't
94.
remember how long it was.
I remember it was a few weeks. I don't remember it being over a month, though. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
It was probably a long one.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think it would have to be, but I can't believe, like, for a local case like this, the coverage that it's getting, the length that it's going, I mean...
And they're moving at a snail's pace. They're doing half days. They're taking days off. They have 4,800 witnesses.
I was way off. It was a year.
It was a year.
I was 14 back then, guys. I'm sorry.
Shows how much we paid attention to that. It was a year. All right, so this could go on for quite a while. But I don't know. I think ultimately what's going to happen, if what I've seen is any sign of what's going to happen, that nobody's going to be found guilty because there's no evidence. Like, there's no evidence of anything.
A lot of hearsay. A lot of...
Yeah, people telling their story, but I don't know. And people that say they know 100% for sure, like, you don't know anything. No. Because I've been paying attention, I've been listening to podcasts, and nobody has any idea.
No, and we're local, so everybody knows somebody that somebody was there.
Yes, or so they say.
My uncle's brother, nephew, girlfriend, she knew
she
this
has
person,
the scoop.
You know, my sister's wife's, you know.
And if you know for 100% that she's guilty or not, then why aren't you there testifying?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't get there. I had to work.
Yeah. So what do you think? Have you been following it?
Even since you were there.
Yeah, Dave was there.
No, I missed that party.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. I was out this weekend. I met my buddy out, and then his sister was out with one of her friends, who I'm friendly with as well. And then a few other people were out, and they're like, "Oh, what are we doing after?" I'm like, "I've been watching Karen Reed. I'm going home. Nobody's coming with me. Nobody's coming to my house."
Did you leave your glass there?
Yeah, I left my glass there. And, the days of having people over, they're over for a little bit.
No, you just need the cameras around the house, that's all.
All right, from one, Tony, can I do the fitness thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, do you want to read it?
All right, so Tony Montana. So, and people who don't know, and the people new listening, because I see our viewers are starting to get up on the socials here. Tony is a fitness coach.
Yeah, call it what you will.
Lifestyle guru.
Ish, Karen Reed expert. I don't know.
Probably
Martini man of the year.
Martini man of the year, man of nature.
So Tony, from one Tony to another, how do you get rid of that stubborn lower belly flat?
And this is
I'm completely.
I get questions like this all the time, and what happens is people start to lose a little bit of weight, but then they have like that stubborn area that's a little bit last, right? And all that means is that you still need to continue the process and lose a little bit more fat. So everybody has.
Well, I got to give you that one's obvious.
Yeah, but it's not so obvious because people think like if I have stubborn belly fat here, how do I get rid of it? Do I do side bends or whatever? Building muscle and losing fat are two different things. So for a lot of people, it's just more time invested. So a lot of women, they have stubborn fat like behind the legs. For men, it's usually lower back, lower belly
button.
It's the last to go. But it's the last to go. But if you take a picture of yourself from 2 years ago to now, you can see it's gone down. It's just not enough time invested. So I would recommend getting into a slight caloric deficit that is sustainable, not a crazy caloric deficit, because you got to remember all the calories that you take in. Those calories are meant to help your body recover, to help give you energy throughout the day, to help build up your immune system. So you got to keep your calories up. A lot of people are like, well, I'm going to just stop doing 1,000 calories a day. What's going to happen is you will lose weight, but you're not going to be consistent with it. And then you're going to have that day that you break, and it's going to be a nightmare. So a slight caloric deficit, if you want to message me on the side, we can kind of talk. But for a lot of people, it's just the monotony of just keeping at it, and little by little over time,
And sometimes when you put in all that work and you get to this one place, and it's just like, I don't want to say the word plateau, but you get to that point, and it's just like sometimes you get defeated a little bit.
Oh, it's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
And then you don't realize how close you were.
Yeah.
And you slack off.
Is that one place, Galen Street on Friday, with the hash and cheese omelets and the 8 pounds of
you're so close, and then you go to the burger place. There's a picture of a guy, and I can find it for you, Tony. He's digging in a hole, and he's looking for diamonds. And he's dug a hole like this long, and then he quits because he gets frustrated. And the graphic shows, it's a cartoon, like he's got about another inch before he hits all the diamonds. So that's what happens with the fitness journey. And a lot of times, too, you got to be happy with, and that's why I tell people, take pictures, put them side by side. You got to be happy with the progress that's made, because a lot of times, every time you hit a certain goal, you reset the goal. But when you get so frustrated, we don't want to go back to where you were previously.
Would you say there's also, is there anything, I don't want to say target, because I don't, but is there anything
There's
that
no
you
way
can
to
do-
target body fat.
No.
You lose body fat as a whole. Your body gets rid of it as a whole.
So doing, like you just said, 1 million crunches, to
Doesn't
get
do
rid
it.
of the love handles. I see guys at the gym doing
Yeah, it
a
doesn't do it. It
million side crunches.
Stupid, very stupid.
Yeah.
Because what happens is muscle and fat are two different things. If you have lower body or lower belly fat, what people do are like, I got to do all this. So all you're doing is building muscle.
And you're pushing.
It just it doesn't take away the body fat.
It's not getting rid of the body fat.
Not getting rid of the body fat. You know,
It's
so
building muscle underneath that cushion.
right. So if you want to do anything, maybe get into a slight caloric deficit, maybe add a little bit more cardio, maybe walking after a meal, just like simple things like that you can be consistent with over time.
Wear a sweatsuit to work.
Yeah. Well, that's what you guys do, right?
Yeah.
All day, every
Pretty
day.
much. Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's frustrating. Fitness is frustrating for all of us. You just got to keep plugging away one day at a time.
That's it. Well, we're going into Memorial Day weekend. Hope everyone has a great 3-day weekend, other than Tony, who just has a regular weekend.
Every weekend, the same. Every day, the same. It's
We're
great.
looking like a good one. So until next week, guys.